Ben Askren, by all accounts, I mean, I'm no, encyclopedia on wrestling accolades, but, certainly Ben Askren, his wrestling is fantastic. I believe he's still undefeated in mixed martial arts, and the way he gets the job done is by taking his opponents down and out wrestling them and staying on top, and he's not particularly exciting. And for the UFC, it is a tricky one because, of course, you want to say you have the best fighters in the world, but it is mixed martial arts. Now, the argument is that, well, it's up to the other people to stop them taking him down. But, from an entertainment aspect, which kind of goes against the whole sport aspect, you don't want a guy that's just going to take someone down and lie on top of them and be very, very boring, for want of a better word. Unfortunately, to the layperson, it does come across as quite boring. I can appreciate the skill on display, but still, it does stifle the opponents. It stifles the actions. It makes the crowd frustrated. You start hearing the boos. It makes them less inclined to come to another event. And as you say, if they're going to take out some of the best, biggest stars, most exciting people in the UFC, just by taking them down and lying on them, it's not a smart move. It isn't. Of course, you want to say you have the best fighters in the world, but you also don't want that to be detrimental to your brand and your product. You want exciting fights. That's why the UFC put bonuses out there. That's why they say there's an extra 50k if you finish this guy in style, or if you submit him, or you knock him out, or the fight of the night. They're incentives. We want finishes. We don't want 15 minutes, 25 minutes of somebody lying on top of somebody doing the bare minimum from getting stood up. Now, I'm a mixed martial arts purist, so I do respect that. But as I say, it is a very, very, it's a fine line, I mean, of course, you want to say you're a legitimate sport, but you also, the certain sports, that's why wrestling isn't the best spectator sport in the world. You know what I'm saying? So it's a tough one.
When you watch it. Eddie Alvarez moves over to ONE FC, makes the jump, big monumental signing. Rarely does the UFC lose one of their stars. And Eddie is a pretty big star, to a certain degree, I guess. I mean, what do you think of the move? We see this happen sometimes with guys that go to Bellator. And is it a case of Eddie Alvarez assessed it and said, dude, I'm probably not going to be a champion 155 pounds in UFC again. Let me go elsewhere and make as much money as possible and get as much value for my name and career as possible.
Yeah, so here's what I think the situation is, and if I'm incorrect, I apologize to Eddie Alvarez, and this is in no shape or form an insult towards Eddie Alvarez. I respect Eddie Alvarez a lot. He's been involved in some incredible fights. He's had an incredible career. He really has. Very, very skilled. One of the best in the world. Of course, former lightweight champion of the UFC. I think he was Bellator champion as well. Now he's going to ONE FC, and I wish him all the best. ONE FC, incidentally, I think they're based in Singapore. Is that correct? They've got big designs. They're planning on taking over. In fact, their president said one day they plan on being a bigger brand than Pepsi or Coca-Cola. So, you know, big words indeed. But they're doing good things out there. And I don't know what kind of money they have. I'm sure out there, you know, they've got, you know, a lot of backing, a lot of financial support. But I think what it comes down to for Eddie Alvarez is that they were offering more money than what the UFC were willing to offer. You know, and that's generally always the case. People always think, oh, well, they're leaving there. Maybe he thinks he's never going to be the champion again, or he's looking for easier competition. No, we as fighters, we want to fight for the most money possible. Now, okay, maybe there's a few people that are exception to the rule. So as I say, I am speculating, but I would speculate that because Eddie lost a few fights, he lost to Conor, he lost to, who did he lose to recently? Dustin Poirier. You know, he had some losses, unfortunately, and then some of his wins weren't the most exciting either. So I think once he's, and when I say exciting, I just mean, you know, he used, you know, pushing up against the fence, low ground, trying to take people down and lie on top of them, you know. And I'm not saying that in a detrimental way. That was just the style. And I think maybe the UFC, now his contract's up, they're not offering the same money that they offered in first time round. Maybe they've lowered his amount. And as I say, I'm purely speculating, and he's shopped about it. He's gone to Bellator, he's gone to ONE FC, and they've made him a better offer. And the UFC know what drives the market. They're very, very smart people. You know, they're a huge company, and they have a lot of analytics. They know who pushes the needle. That's the expression that they use. Who pushes the needle? Okay, yeah. Conor McGregor, for as a prime example, he pushes that needle through the fucking roof. Okay, and if Eddie isn't pushing the needle, then, you know, then they're not going to pay him. So he's gone off to ONE FC, where he's probably going to get more money.
And it probably pushes the needle more over in the Asian market, being a former UFC lightweight champion. That I think that holds so much value. So when you're, you know, and apparently Harrington's sending me facts about ONE FC. They're planning on doing 2 shows every weekend within 5 years, 104 cards per year, every Friday and Saturday night to service the 4 billion person Asian market. So I think they, you know, recognize, dude, UFC is such a big, valuable brand that just having a guy that's had that experience, you can parlay that into opening a gym. You can parlay that into appearances, private lessons, whatever it is on the lowest level. Just having fought in the UFC, I watch it happen time and time again. You know, you can really use that to kind of build, you know, value for yourself. And I think this is a case where Eddie holds more value outside of the UFC because of his experience in the UFC.